3 more builders collapse. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee because the construction apocalypse is continuing, with 3 more builders going under. Let's have a look at this article written by Sarah Sharples from news.com.au. So, Hondo Homes, Horsham, Sydney developer Marist Group collapse amid construction crisis. 3 more building companies are casualties of the construction crisis. I prefer construction apocalypse, because it's the same as what we have with the retail apocalypse, one going over after the other. Now, I'm going to remind everyone, just so I know I'm a broken record with this, but you've got to remember that there was a lot of government intervention that juiced up the market, particularly the first home buyer, the home builder grants as well. That overheated our residential sector. And that coupled with all of the other issues. You've got supply chain issues, you've got labor issues, you've got lockdowns, all of it coming together. Some builders were in trouble. And some were probably trading insolvent back from when they were allowed to trade insolvent, when they first changed those rules. Did they ever dig themselves out of it? And now you've got the ATO knocking on the door, wanting their coppers. They need their monies. I don't know what they're going to do with it, but they need to collect it. A Victorian-based builder called Hondo Homes, Horsham, which was a franchisee of a national construction firm, has collapsed, affecting a number of homeowners. The company had 11 homes under construction at the time of its collapse, while there were also 11 employees with outstanding entitlements. So they've been trading insolvent for some time then, if they get to that point. It's the second Hondo Homes franchise to go under this year, with its Hobart branch collapsing in January, owing $1.3 million to creditors, according to a report from liquidator Revive Financial. Established 14 years ago, Hondo Homes Horsham, which is also known as AJ&JR Lynch Proprietary Limited, fell into voluntary administration on Thursday, with Worrells appointed as administrators. The building franchise had been extremely challenged by the range of external pressures currently facing the construction sector, a statement from Hondo Homes said. I mean, this is the thing, you've got to cut your losses. And every regular of the channel now, we've seen it again and again, it's in the residential sector. That's what's copping it. The Australian building industry is currently enduring a perfect storm of factors, navigating record levels of demand, while facing widespread shortages of building materials and trade, supply chain delays, major spikes in the cost of materials and labour, and the ongoing effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, it said. And, well, they're definitely true there, isn't it? News.com learned of Hondo Homes Horsham's collapse. All reference to the franchise were removed from the national firm's website. Well, you can't blame them. Of course they're going to remove them there. They don't want to be associated with failure, do they? And it probably has nothing to do with the franchise. I wonder, I don't really know what a builder's buying. I guess they're buying the brand. That's what they're buying, and the goodwill at the national level. I wonder if the national firm has any responsibilities to the 11 people with houses. We'll have to see. Worrells has been contacted for comment but did not respond to their repeated requests. Meanwhile, when the Hondo Homes branch went under, it left as many as 80 contractors and 40 customers in limbo with unfinished homes. One Tasmanian couple said they'd forked out $260,000, only to be left with a wall and partially built garage. Yeah, well, I mean, here's the thing, guys. You need to get a third party between you and these specky builders. Okay? Chuck, a project manager, chuck an architect, chuck another builder, a couple of grand to review the progress claims of these builders. And if you're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars to build a house, that's probably worth it over the course of a project. Just to get another set of eyes, to make sure you're not overpaying. I know how tight it is. I know how cheap everyone is. I know times are tough, but you've got to do that. Because we don't know. This 260 they may have forked out may be fine and completely reasonable because they could have insanely bad foundations, and that's where all the money is. So the normies don't realize how much has been spent on their house because, well, They haven't seen it. The revived financial report on Hondo Homes also shows some tradies were owed between $75,000 and $100,000 for completed work. That's the danger of, well, that's what's going to happen with this construction apocalypse. Builders going under one after the other, and subbies going under too, or losing big. And what you'll have is the survivors will start increasing their costs. So we're going to start to see significant inflation in the housing sector, not necessarily just from all the material and labor costs, but also for people to protect themselves. If they anticipate, a build which would normally take 6 months now takes a year, you're going to factor that in. If, steel's gone up 15% this year, it'll probably go up 15% next year. Factor that in. Hondo Homes Horsham is the latest casualty in the construction industry, which has been plunged into crisis with a spate of collapses this year as building giants and smaller operators alike are impacted. Yes, but it seems to be focused on residential. Have we heard of anyone doing education projects going under? It's just spec houses or multi-res. It seems to be that. The crisis has been blamed on rising costs, disrupted supply chains, labor shortages, and periodic lockdowns, while companies have been locked into fixed-price contracts, creating a profitless boom, according to experts. What about the overheating of the market and bringing projects forward? Oh, well, that goes without saying. Big Sydney developer goes under. Western Sydney high-rise apartment developer Marist Group also collapsed this week, with Stephen Wesley Hathaway and Philip Raymond Hosking of the Helm Advisory appointed as liquidators. The Marist Group had been embroiled in a controversy after a 16-story apartment built in Auburn, known as I. Ellis Towers, was previously issued with orders to resolve major defects. And, well, we're seeing that again and again in New South Wales. Their entire multi-res sector was overheated back in 2015-16 with a lot of foreign investment. And I wonder if they've still got the skills. I wonder if they've got the skills to build quality, honestly. It may have been lost. And not just New South Wales. I think they've just been overheated. The New South Wales Building Commissioner, David Chandler, publicly described the Elisa Towers, which has 229 apartments, as the worst building he'd ever inspected. Godina Developments, whose director was the founder of developer Marist Group, was behind the 16-story Elisa building at 93 Auburn Road that had been subjected to multiple complaints. Last year, Marist Group was responsible for two 22-story apartment towers in Parramatta CBD, but was issued with orders preventing it from allowing owners and tenants to move in after serious defects were reported, according to the Sydney Morning Herald. Known as Imperial, the towers at 9 Hassel Street contained 179 units between them, but at the time, Marist Managing Director Dave Stickland said the developer took the matters very seriously and engaged independent experts to assist in working through the issues raised. He added the developer did not accept there were any outstanding serious defects. Now that's the thing. It can be a bit of give and take, and a bit of argy-bargy when it comes to what is a defect and what isn't. And we'll have to see. That comes out at the end, because what some people consider a defect may not be. But David is also Chandler. He's appointed as a political position, and he's on a mission. He is on a mission, so he's going to go gun-ho for everything. And he probably needs to put pressure on the sector. Home Advisory said in the statement that the liquidators of the Marist Group are currently conducting investigations and will be in contact with known affected creditors in due course. So, related Marist Group companies owe $17 million. 5 other companies related to Marist Group have already been put into liquidation, with Home Advisory appointed by the federal court to deal with businesses known as the Stacey Group in July 2019. The liquidators' investigations into the Stacey Group's financial affairs identified potential voidable transactions and insolvent trading claims in excess of $25 million, Home Advisory said. Now, this is the thing. This is when they make transactions like do dodgy deals, move money around. They can take it back. The liquidators publicly examined the related parties of interest and commenced recovery action. The directors of the Stacey Group agreed to pay outstanding debts via a settlement deed. Home Advisory added, but ultimately defaulted. Despite partial payment of approximately $8 million being made towards the deed, the parties ultimately defaulted under the deed, alleging various factors, including but not limited to disruptions in the market, tough economic climate, the pandemic, and delays in key project timelines resulting from New South Wales Building Commissioner's actions, it said. Home Advisory said the deed was varied on 4 occasions, but they were left with no alternative but to commence action to terminate the deed and pursue the parties. I mean, we've heard about these guys in years past here on the channel. We've discussed some of these buildings with the defects. Just go through the construction playlist, guys. At the time of the default, there were outstanding amounts owed in the proximity of $17 million plus interest. The parties under the deed indicated they were without funds to rectify the default under the deed, and were also without funds to continue to operate the Marist Group and defend any action. The directors of the Marist Group subsequently offered to have the companies within the group voluntarily wound up. In order to save costs, the liquidators accepted the appointment of the Marist Group. More Victorian builders collapse. This is just, well, as I said, it's a construction apocalypse, everyone. Oh, boy. The sad thing is the subbies that are working on these jobs and the businesses that are going to get collapsed and destroyed through no fault of their own. I'm complaining about the water in my yard. Look at this. Victorian builders have been particularly hard hit, with a growing list of companies that have gone into liquidation. The latest was Melbourne-based builder called Dwelling Building Group, which went into voluntary liquidation this week, with 3 residential projects and 4 employees impacted. Andrew Poulter from IRT Advisory said. Mr. Poulter told news.com.au that information is still incomplete, which is common with many smaller insolvencies, as the books and records are not up to date. We've not yet received a report on company activities and property from the director. There are 3 projects on foot, which are substantially incomplete, based on verbal advices from the directors, all of which are residential. News.com reached out to the owner of Dwelling Building Group, but he did not wish to comment. Yeah, can you blame him? Can you blame him for not wanting to comment? I mean, here you go. Here's a job. Look at that beautiful quality. It's the smaller ones that you know they've chucked so much of their own money to keep it going, and it's fallen over. And I honestly, I hope the men in this situation don't do anything rash. Talk to your friends. Talk to someone. Get help if you're too stressed. Don't do anything stupid. You can build up again. It's not the end. It's just a challenge. Earlier this week, Snowden Developments was ordered to liquidate by the Supreme Court with 52 staff members, 550 homes, and more than 250 creditors, owed just under $18 million, although it was partially bought out less than 24 hours after going bust. Yeah, I wonder what they bought, what IP they wanted to buy. Dozens of homeowners and hundreds of tradies were left reeling after a Victorian building firm called Langford Jones went into liquidation on July 4th, owing $14.2 million to 300 creditors. And here's the pile up, Condev, ProBuild, Inside Out, Home, Dylam, Next, Pindon, ABD, just affordable modular statement builders. And there's more. There's more here that they haven't, which one is it? Blur and other ones that they haven't captured here in the news. They haven't been big enough. So let's have a talk. Now, there's a few things to discuss here. This is going to be ongoing. We're in the middle of a construction apocalypse. Residential builders are in trouble. We're all aware of that. Now, if you're in the situation where you're going under, maybe it's time to consider cutting your losses rather than kicking the can down the road and, sorting everything out and not doing anything rash. If you've got a builder doing a build, you need to make sure you're not overpaying for any work that you're getting. Make sure you're paying for only what is done. And if you have to, get a third party to help you in that process. Even get a lawyer to give you some legal advice, or construction experts that know how to administer projects. Often you get architects, you'd get project managers. I think some engineers can even do it. Builders. I don't know if they can observe other people's projects. They need to have a special project manager's license here in Queensland to do it, but still, it's worth getting some professional advice to make sure you're not overpaying. And just, this is why you need to have contingencies, guys. The saddest thing is the stories of the people who are bitching and moaning because they missed out on the grants from the government and they were depending on that to get their project going. That means they had no extra money set aside. You need to have a contingency, guys. On top of your budget, you need to have 5 to 10% in case something goes wrong. But for me, I'm assuming that's common knowledge, but that's probably just specialist professional knowledge in the construction industry that the normal people isn't exposed to. We need to figure out a way to get that out to more people. Maybe we need to do shorts. Just get some shorts out there and do the TikTok and all of the things and get a pretty girl in a bikini telling people about construction advice. What do you reckon? Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Like, share, subscribe to the channel. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on this one. It's sad news, but it's not the end of it. If you want to support the channel, there are a few ways you can. You can financially support us via YouTube or Patreon, use our affiliate links, buy our pocket squares, or call us if you need an architect. Take care, guys. Have a great day. And hopefully your construction projects proceed successfully. And thanks to everyone who gave me advice about cutting out the pier. I ended up just buying a plasma cutter, guys. I'll do a video on it.